Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for their comic book roundtable. And tonight, a different cast of characters, kind of. Well, Mike's different because he's been traveling all weekend, right? That makes you different.
I'm
Yeah,
beat down.
yeah. But got your books read, even though you were on the long
Yes.
haul. Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. And tight with us, we have a new person, John on Demand, from a Comic Book Look. Everybody should be checking out Comic Book Look. If you're subscribed to me, you need to be subscribed to those guys. They're great. They have a great show. They have a good vibe. They're lots of fun, right, John?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, man. It's so cool to get to hop on and save the world.
Yes.
So.
Yes, it's going to be great. So like I said, you're subscribed to this channel. You really should be going checking that out. I know you've seen some of the guys because, of course, if you're subscribed to my channel, you're also subscribed to Mike's channel, right? So
That's right.
You see them on. They go and pick up comics together sometimes and whatnot. So you'll see them there too. So this was the big shopping weekend, right? So Black Friday and all the goodies and whatnot. Of course, I live in the middle of a void where there is nothing like that. But you lucky people who actually have shops and whatnot, lots of goodies, cool stuff.
Yeah.
Is that cup one of them?
That's a great cup.
Hey, thank you. First of all, you guys, Black Friday was something of magic. We do a half off, so it's kind of like a free comic book day discount. I'm working on a really cool project coming up outside of a Comic Book Look that really takes me into what I'm passionate about, which is characters. I read for characters. I'm not a creator follower. I follow characters. So with that, when I go into the shop, I'm like, gosh, I really want to learn about this character. And I call it doing research. So I'm like, hit me with the textbooks. Let's go. This time around, I went fierce for Alpha Flight. Got a whole wall of Alpha Flight stuff over there. So I got a lot of really rad just cameos and different titles, a lot of Wolverine literature, just kind of some of those one-off tales. And it's really exciting. But also, shout out to Arrow on CW. Ragman is on there right now, a cool rendition of him, and I was like, I need to learn about the character, so I went and bought out the whole section of the Ragman literature that they had. Stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, so I was just like, give me, and it's incomplete runs, it's not perfect, but it's a good way for me to get familiar with the character and get informed, and that's what I like to do as a reader, and when you get it half off, winner, winner, so that was a lot of fun, and I saw a lot of participation, other people were there getting their books, and everybody has that certain thing they're looking for. I'm looking for Superman. I'm looking for X-Men. So it was really cool just to kind of hear the discussions. Not to mention, I heard probably 3 fathers telling their kiddos, like, I used to own this. Do you want to get some of these? It's just
Nice.
like, that's so fun just to see that, that
Yes.
family element. So love it, love it, love it, love it. So Black Friday, stuff of magic.
Awesome. We'll definitely, and we need that, right? Because those younger generations, what's going to keep our hobby alive, right?
Exactly.
So need new readers. Well, that's cool. Ragman, love that character.
Yes.
That 70s run, that little 70s run that started out is a lot of fun. I mean, the character's changed a bit over the years because in the beginning he's pretty funny as far as how he gets his powers and whatnot. It's pretty funny. So
I'm excited to learn it though, man. I hear it's way different before a DC event happened. Like he wasn't magical originally or something of the sort. So that's interesting. I don't know. I haven't read
right.
it,
Yeah. They gave him a more of a religious kind of a magical religious kind of a spin to him. Yeah, later on. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, cool stuff. Mike, right? You weren't home, but you were someplace where there are comic shops. Yes, no?
Yes. Unlike John, who was enjoying his home, that he woke up late, had hot cocoa, I was frantically trying to get across to 500,000 people to get to a shop I visit every year because I'm seeing in-laws. They had changed. There wasn't quite as much stuff to buy as what there used to be. I did get a couple of nice comics, but then I also picked up a Batman statue, which I'll be showing later on my channel, and I'll be tweeting out. Like I said, everything has been put somewhere else right now, and we couldn't get it in the box that they brought it because we couldn't figure out how he fit. And once you guys see it, you'll figure out that it was ridiculous. It's nice. I got a crazy fun deal, so that starts my Batman statue collection, I guess. So
There you go. That's awesome.
Down the slippery slope.
Yep.
I stay away from the statues because I know what that's going to be like. So
Mhm.
you buy one, and it's all over with. So
Mhm.
nice. Well, I'm looking at some of the comments, and there some people are talking about picking up some great Black Friday deals. Like some people picked up like 8 issues of The Island for $1 each, which is
Oh,
nuts because that's like a $4 or $5 book. So that's pretty cool. Be able to pick up some off kilter indie comic type stuff. That's pretty cool. So we flipped the imaginary 3-sided coin, and it came up Marvel this time. We're going to talk Marvel first this week. So I'll be over here drinking my soda and asking questions because, of course, I didn't read any Marvel this time around. And Alyssa, do you guys talk Marvel? What'd you guys read?
Absolutely. Mike, you want to take it?
No. Start, because I only got one. I'll interrupt you when you get too far.
Yeah, when I get too far. All right, well, let's get too far then. And first of all, let's talk about Civil War issue 7. I love me some fun covers, so of course I love the cool ones as well as the normal ones. But honestly, you guys, the frequency has been such a hurdle for me. We were talking about it before the camera started rolling. It's been a real hurdle because I want the story. We're so spoiled with TV shows, that we get to see it week after week. But this kind of storytelling where it's once every 2 months or 3 months, I'm just like, what is going on? And the problem is that other books have progressed since then because they're on a schedule. So it's kind of weird to me to kind of backtrack. I've never seen a Marvel event like this, and I know things happen in real life, that cause this delay, but I've never seen that happen to that extent before. So it's very different to me. On the flip side, I will say that Civil War 2, I was very skeptical about the whole event, but it is exciting to see a lot of cool things come out of it so far. And what I mean by that are character development, major character development for Captain Marvel, kind of leading up to that cinematic premiere whenever that happens. That's exciting, but I've just seen a lot of character growth just in this book. I mentioned Alpha Flight earlier. I might be just a tad biased, you guys, but Captain Marvel is actually Alpha Flight in space,
Right.
which Marvel forgot to mention in the preview, so that was kind of a good tidbit. But I'm actually loving the book. It's a lot of fun. So pairing that with the main event has been a pleasure. I haven't been reading any of the other tie-ins. I used to go very heavy on tie-ins, Dark Reign especially. But since then, I've been very forgiving on the old wallets. So I've been just kind of picking and choosing and really, like I said, focusing on the characters that I truly follow over the years.
So issue 7, that's not the last issue though, right?
No, there's actually one more, I believe, coming out. I believe. I don't know. And with that, what's that, Mike?
I did hear from Stan Lee they're actually going to go out to 13 now just because of how unlucky this is going to be. So.
Yeah, over T, you guys are saying that? Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it's overall, as an event, I really think it's cool. And it's good to see it differ from the original Civil War, which was my other concern is, how are we going to bring about this concept again? So they did it, and I'm totally cool with how they did it. So
cool.
So that's 2 of my 4, Mike. So are you sure you don't want to take us to...
All right, I'll jump in with
there you go.
the Mighty Thor. Of course, I've just been loving the Jane Foster Power Hour in this one. We are reintroduced to Angela. She comes back in this issue because we're getting back into the War of the Realms with all of the dwarves and the elves and the trolls. Dodderman is not on art, and instead it was Stephen Epting, and it was all right art. And one part, he can change his style. I was really surprised because I looked in here. I was expecting a different artist.
It's always when you go to show a page, Mike.
Just fully.
Yeah.
There you go.
And of course, it's Thor too. So, but it's muter tones that I got here. It's just one of those things where the color seems to really work on this book, and I like what I've seen. So I was happy with that. But can't wait for Dodderman to get back on art. This is issue 13 of the Mighty Thor.
Nice.
Cool. Epting used to do like Captain America a long time ago, right? I believe.
Oh,
yeah.
I do not know.
I think so. And I think that Epting is going to be doing, well, the stuff he was just recently working on was Velvet with Ed Brubaker through Image. And Epting's going to be the artist when the Batwoman book starts up.
Yay! I like Batwoman.
Yes, definitely be getting that. So
Very cool.
yeah. Well,
Well, did Epting work with Frank Martin then? Do you know? Does that name sound familiar for a color artist?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where the book stands out as the color artist. So.
Okay.
Well, I have a gem, you guys. So I love me some Venom corner back there. So this Venom #1 that came out, first of all, I love the normal cover. I really wanted to get a variant. Mike, the shop had one that was 3 digits long before the zeros.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, put that in Mike's box for sure.
Yeah.
He'll take 2. So anyways, it was actually a really fun read. Venom, as of late, the Agent Venom piece, you guys, I love Venom when he's like awesomely bad, right? So the good guy Venom, guns ablaze and that kind of stuff. I tried some of it out. I even tried the Venom Space Knight out. Just wasn't for me, but I tried because I want to make an informed opinion. And so it was interesting. It just wasn't the direction that I like my character. So this one introduces us to a new character called Lee Price. This is also an interesting book for me, though, because it brings back the Dark Avengers Venom / Spider-Man, Matt Gargan, as a character in here, too, that kind of helped set the stage a little bit. So I was giddy little fanboy over here, like, Dark Avengers, yay! So I was very excited about that. This book was gritty and fun, and it just brought back a lot of notes that I've been missing for probably 2.5 years from Venom. With that, the suit's kind of like, bro, I'm a good guy. What are you doing? And the Lee is like, actually, not anymore, unfortunately. So the suit's learning a new person. It's like troubleshooting a new piece of software, basically. And it's really cool to see and read the suit's dialogue with the wearer, the user, I guess, for lack of a better term. And it was kind of a cool little transition there. Artwork was fun. Panels were fun. It was just fun to see a street level, gritty and grimy Venom. So with that, I'm definitely rocking with this series. So it's nice to have another Marvel title back on the list because, like I said, I've been dangerously low. These are probably it of what I'm getting for Marvel. So
Did they say if that's an ongoing or just a short series?
It's ongoing right now, but as with all things good, like Thanos, it's probably going to be a short-lived thing. So,
All right.
Yeah, which is another Marvel one that I like. So, yeah. The last one, you guys, this one is totally left field for me. X-Men titles, I struggle with right now, but man, this X-Men 92 just takes me back because I can name every single character in the story, and it's just so funny to see villains grouped together like Apocalypse and then Bastion from Operation Zero Tolerance. What? You know, and then Exodus from the Acolytes. Like, what is going on right now? This is amazing. And it totally gives me like this 90s video game vibe. It reminds me of Marvel versus Capcom. So it's real fun. It's real poppy. But it takes me back. X-Men 90s is how I got started. The cartoon is how I got started with comics. And so this, to me, was a real fun take on it. Good energy behind it. So I have all the issues. I actually have some back issues of that to read because I started on issue 5 or 6 when I was out in Nashville. So I definitely love this series and look forward to just kind of binge reading it someday. So it'll be awesome. But that issue was fun. I like that. So.
Nice. Yeah, the X-Men cartoon, man, that was a big pull for a lot of people.
Yes.
A lot of people.
Yep.
In the comics. And so I kind of surprising it took Marvel this long to put out a book based around the cartoon, kind of a thing. So smart of them, I would think. So Cool. Right on. What else is going on in Marvel right now? Any kind of Marvel news, anything that's like screaming that we need to talk about or whatever?
Shout out definitely to Thanos for sure. Loving that. And then also the infamous Iron Man, Dr. Doom, that kind of book. Issue 2 was a lot of fun. So I am liking that as well. I do root for my bad guys. But I am a fan of that one too. So that has been a fun read. But I know that's not this week, so I left it back there to be filed. Yeah. But no, love it. So there's a lot of fun stuff that they're doing. And Great Lakes Avengers, of course. I got to check that out. Travis, out here, we don't have a lot of protection, if you will, from superheroes. So we have to settle sometimes.
Yeah. You guys in the middle of the country. Yeah. Why is that?
We got Jack of Hearts on our new Avengers cover, which he was born in Connecticut or whatever the bio said. So that's awesome. Yeah, it's nothing to do with Celtic.
Yeah, I guess it was what 54 states and other principles, and so each one will have their own superhero on the cover. And so we got the Jack of Hearts, yeah.
Which is amazing.
Nice. That's funny. Oh, so you brought up the Iron Man thing and whatnot. Do you have any indication yet as to exactly how the whole Civil War thing's going to land, and what really happens there?
It did allude to it, and I just pretended like I didn't see it because I want to experience the moment first and not become jaded to it. You know, so when issue 8 or whatever comes out, I want to still be able to soak up the moment like everybody else during that time. So. Yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of titles with that. The Iron Man, you know, with the new character being premiered, and there. I mean, everything. It's out. It's out.
So do you crack the book open, these other books open, worrying that you're going to see the thing that's going to really set off whatever is going on in the Civil War for you?
Right.
That would be my worry, is that, oh God, you know, we're gonna, you know, I'm going to start reading this, and it's going to tell me some key thing that I just spent 8 months reading about. So.
That was the thing. Infamous Iron Man 1. I blurted it out, not even thinking about how far back Civil War was.
Yeah.
So I blurted it out already, Johnny, before another issue. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know of any other Marvel news. You know, as far as Marvel news type stuff, I can't think of anything that's really, you know, like screaming right now as far as shows or anything like that. That's suddenly, oh my God, something new that's out there.
Did you see Doctor Strange? Are you going to talk about that, or?
I have not seen Doctor Strange yet.
Okay. That's something definitely that would be fun to visit about sometime, because I loved it, and that's a character. You know, it's funny, we go to these movies or watch these shows. Sometimes we don't know enough about the characters, right? So that just makes me want to read more and more.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to DC. Let's talk some DC books.
Sure.
I got a few of mine read, and that's mostly what my poll is DC this week. It was the week that's mostly what it is. What do we want to talk?
I have one. So
is that Detective Comics?
It is Detective Comics. We can be friends. Very good.
I studied up on you, so I knew what you're reading. So, this is like the second or third issue of the Crime Syndicate storyline. What are you thinking?
I am liking it so far. Very interesting concept. So I actually might be in the doghouse with this channel, because issue 944, I'm not sure that I read that one yet. My to-read pile is very big. Doesn't help when I go and spend lots of money at Black Friday. So with that, when I read 945, I was like, I better back up the bus here a little bit, because I think I might have missed a couple things. But I will say that the series as a whole, I've been loving it ever since Rebirth picked it up, and the numbering and all that stuff. So it's been a joy to read this series so far. Loving it. Cool group of characters in the Victim Syndicate, which I think is fascinating. And I'd like to know more of their origins, what the stories are. And I suspect or hope that we get that because of that ad that they had in there for Batwoman Begins.
Yes.
And 3 issues or whatever the case is. But I just hope that we develop those characters.
Yeah, well, and that brings up a good point. I wonder if they're going to be able to in those 3 issues. How much history are we going to get? Because I mean, in this issue, they hint at it a little bit. You know, Batman's driving around trying to figure out, you know, where the first victims were. You know, because one of the people that's leading the Victim Syndicate is like the first, you know, supposedly his first, you know, victim.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And so he's trying to work out some of that. I wonder how much of that we're going to get when we've got, you know, 3 issues for them to like, you know, settle whatever's going to be.
I'll take what I can get.
Yeah, sure. My only thing is that I really don't like Luke Fox, and so I guess I was happy to have Batwoman kind of dress him down about the fact that he's just he's kind of a fop who happens to wear, you know, he's Batman with like zero angst to drive why he is what he is. You know, he's the playboy, he's all this stuff, and no real. And I like that, because I guess that kind of put the nail on the head as to why I don't like this version of the character in this book, is because he's just kind of whatever. I mean, it's like no real. So I enjoyed that part of the book and getting dressed down just because of that whole part of it. So, and as a whole, I'm liking it. interesting to get a little more Clayface stuff in there.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping we get more of that. That's one thing I've been kind of a critical of, is they just use him as kind of like a living utility belt, and he doesn't have a personality beyond that. So them starting to dig into his own.
Yep.
And that was interesting. Them talking about the psychology of the longer that he stays in the warped, full on Clayface, he loses his moral compass. That was kind of an interesting idea that I don't remember it being floated anywhere before. That as long as he stays in his human form, he kind of keeps it together. The longer he's in Clayface form, the more kind of psychotic and not caring that he is, and that's kind of interesting. So
definitely agreed. I think that he is one of the two reasons I rock with that book steadily. The other one is definitely Batwoman, for sure. Just a real powerful character, and looking forward to her solo line. And hopefully they deliver on that. New 52 Batwoman was fantastic. So I absolutely love that. And it's interesting too, these other characters, Orphan, for instance, I'm not familiar with. So it's really cool to get familiar, and it really makes me want to backtrack and, Wikipedia, what's her first appearance? All right, let's see if they got it at the shop and, check it out. And that's how I do it, is I just want to learn and be informed.
Yeah. And I kind of like the fact they pulled, Tim Drake out of the book. Anybody who watches the show knows I'm not a Tim Drake fan. I'm a Tim Drake hater. But for the purpose of those other characters in the book, he is such a known element that taking him out of the book then allows other people, that other cast of characters to get some, actual meaningful face time themselves. Hopefully, we'll get more Orphan stuff down the road and whatnot.
Absolutely. And then, of course, we have just the main thing going on here. Just the cover pretty much says it all, but the conflict, it's so crazy to me. The ending of this issue was interesting as well, so I'm like, so we'll see how that goes.
Right.
But I don't want to spoil anything. It's good fun.
Have we seen word bubbles on covers in a while like that?
No, I think they've started to crop back up again. I've been noticing more and more of the, people talking on cover, which is a throwback. That's the old things. But I mean, I don't have I got 15 comics this week, and not another one of them has anyone talking on the cover.
Right.
So no, I don't think that's a typical thing. It's becoming, but I've seen it cropping back up again. So
Nice.
Which I kind of like it. I kind of like somebody screaming at somebody on the cover, I guess. So, yeah, good stuff. Along the Batman lines, I read issue 2 of Batman Beyond.
Nice.
We get kind of in this issue, it's kind of a history of how Joker is quote unquote killed. How Batman, basically kind of kills him. I mean, that is, doesn't really do him in, but allows an accident to happen that causes his supposed death, and how maybe he didn't really die in that death, because in this storyline, we got this whole section of old Gotham has become Joker territory, and there's a whole gang of them that call themselves the Jokers, and one of the main villains has got the frozen corpse of the Joker, and he is trying to bring it back to life. Is what he's doing. He's got the body warmed up enough that he can use the palm print as an ID to start stealing. Joker's got assets all over the place that are still out there, and so he's now tapping into those assets, to supposedly reanimate the Joker. And Terry McGinnis has gone undercover in this issue. He's starting to go undercover. He's a Joker now because he basically last issue got his ass handed to him by a Joker that's all juiced up on Bane juice and whatnot, busted him up so bad that he figures, well, he better fight him from the inside. So that's kind of what he's doing now. It's been fun. So I'm enjoying this kind of a not deep book, but still some fun. So been kind of cool. See what goes on, at least the first arc of it, before I decide whether or not I want to hang on to it. But I have been enjoying it so far, for sure.
I read issue 1 of that series, and I actually enjoyed that as well. I watched all the cartoons.
Yes.
Very fun series. My favorite from that is definitely the Royal Flush Gang.
Yes.
They're just so fun, But no, the Jokers have always been kind of a fascinating one. So getting to see them in the book in that first issue took me back to some of those episodes as well. So.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff. Mike, what'd you read this week?
DC wise, nothing.
Mike.
Man, let him down all over. So
Yeah.
it's just me. Is it just me then?
It's
Yeah.
just you?
Okay. Batgirl, this is the end of this arc. Issue number 5. I really enjoyed the book. I love the art. Raphael Albuquerque art has been enjoyable. I think he's done with the book. I think somebody else takes over with the next arc of the book. She fights this juiced up woman that they call the Teacher, and at the end of it, she kind of has to decompartmentalize her own smarts and whatnot. She has to kind of give up her eidetic memory to just kind of be in the moment to fight this person. It's kind of fun. Great art in it, and it sets the stage for the next arc, which I will keep getting. I'm enjoying Batgirl. Right now, for me, it's a good mix of the Gail Simone really dark New 52 early Batgirl with enough of the Burnside, fresher face Batgirl to make it not just grim as grim could be, but it's kind of a happy medium in between. So you have some fun along with her being serious, and I think it's a smart place to be. Unless you're just dead set on not having anything that's not either one of those other two really polar opposites of each other, kind of a thing. But I think it's a good mix of it for me personally. So I've been enjoying it. Yeah. Gosh.
Dog welder?
Dog welder, yes.
Yeah.
Six pack of dog welder. I had to read this because I thought Luke would be on, so I knew I wanted to talk this book with him. This is issue number 4 of the 6-issue miniseries. This issue, basically, they're in the pyramids. They're being swarmed by mummy type stuff, and they're being overwhelmed. And Dog Welder's the only one that can save them. If he turn his torch on, of course, it'll just burn all the mummies up to nothing. He finally throws his torch on, and then he's kind of transported into kind of a dream realm where he basically does kind of a soul searching as much as Dog Welder can soul search, to be quite honest. And he kind of finds out there's a history to the Dog Welder. They've been around for centuries. The first Dog Welder was from Egypt. The first Dog Welder was the guy who created Anubis. The gods were like looking down on the world. They saw these humans starting to populate the earth. They're going to start dying. They're going to start cluttering up the heavens. We got to do something with them. Let's create the underworld. Let's so they have to find somebody to be in charge of the underworld. So they find this bastard child of one of Horus to go down and make Anubis. He cuts the head off of a potential god and literally welds on the dog's head. Of course, he's mad because he's been disfigured once he's awoken. And so he puts the curse on the Dog Welder. And so the first Dog Welder is a guy running around in Egypt with a kind of a makeshift welding mask of sorts. And he's got like a hot poker, and he's literally shearing people's faces and welding dogs to the faces. But in this, you get like the hall of Dog Welders. It's this big, long hallway, and all these statues of all these Dog Welders throughout the Civil War, throughout the 16th century. And they're all talking. They all have these little speeches. So you get this version of like Shakespeare Dog Welder talking about welding dogs to people's faces and stuff. It's just ridiculous. This issue wasn't as funny as some of them were, but it's just but completely absurd. None the same. And I'm thinking this is like one of the last covers for Steve Dillon. I think this was the last covers he produced before he passed away. So I don't think the entire series is going to get the Steve Dillon covers on it, but yeah. So I mean, it was fun. Not as funny as like the last couple issues have been, but curious to see where they go to now, because of course they're leaving here knowing full well that the Dog Welder is just completely bonkers and will be forever, walking around these hands shoved up the ass of a dead dog.
Didn't even notice that.
Yes. That's how he talks.
Oh,
like a hand puppet, and that's how he talks. So, and he's the first. This is a power that all the Dog Welders have had, but he's the first Dog Welder to have actually discovered it while he was still alive. Because when he's in like the afterlife talking to all the other Dog Welders, they all literally have dogs stuck on their hands talking to. So it's grim. It's grim, but funny.
yeah.
So my last DC comic that I got read, of course, Wonder Woman issue number 11, set in the current time. Basically, everything's getting real. They've supposedly found Themyscira notice how red the cover is. It's red, very red inside. It's not her. It's not her home. It's some kind of weird fake place. And by the end of this, she kind of figures out that she is really lost. She does not know who these people are. She doesn't know what's going on. And also in the regular waking times, Etta, who's in charge of the special forces that Steve Trevor is with, is discovering there's this kind of like secret thing going on that is going to cause her some problems and whatnot. Some robots that are coming after them, and they're trying to manipulate Wonder Woman to do their stuff. So all good, excellent art. Yeah, I'm just really thrilled with Wonder Woman. So
Nice.
as it all starts to, the two storylines are really starting to come together now. So good stuff. And that's my DC books that I got read. I have about 5 or 6 others that I haven't read, so I can't really talk about those. So, yeah. DC news or ongoing? Oh, well, one thing I want to talk about, the fact is we've been on the show the last 3 or 4 weeks, and we keep going, when's Otto Schmidt coming back to Green Arrow? What's happened to him? Because he literally just kind of disappeared. We noticed that in this week's books, there are ads for him back on Green Arrow. So like issue 12, he's coming back. We just hadn't really heard anything, so we all kind of wondered. Because it was, they're sharing duties between, Schmidt and Ferreira on the Green Arrow book. But so for anybody who's been wondering, because we keep talking about it, it looks like issue 12 he's back. So
Thanks.
Any other DC-ish kind of?
Not that I can think of. No.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing anything either. We're just lacking on the news.
That's what we used to have some people on that would be great with that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I've slowly have been shying away from comic book news because so much of it is not either it's hearsay, and I don't like repeating the hearsay of the hearsay places and whatnot. And now what used to be the reliable places have become more clickbaitish, and they're just repeating what the rumor places say. So it's kind of unfortunate as far as that goes.
Something.
What was that, Mike? I didn't catch
that. Is true on another site, but still triggers you into a rant. So
right. And I know everybody enjoys listening to me rant and rave about stuff, but I don't like to do that every week. So only for special occasions. So yeah. So we want to talk a few indie books.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
A little Hellboy.
Nice. Hellboy 1954.
Yeah, this really seems to be for people that want to do the BPRD or whatever, get into Hellboy. I think these are an excellent starting point for people.
I totally agree. I mean, this is basically a one and done. This is exactly the kind of story I talk about lots of times. They're even in the main book. It's just a single issue. They encounter something, they kind of fix it, but don't really fix it. But that's okay because they aren't going to squash every weird thing that's out there. Realistically, why should you be able to? And this is kind of one of those ones where it's kind of like, oh, okay. So now I'm after I read this issue, we have this kid in here who, I don't know, possessed, kind of maybe. A flaming monkey comes rolling out of him and attacks his dad, basically, is what happens. There's more to the story than that as to why that flaming monkey is doing that. But now I'm racking my brain trying to think if this kid shows up in the more current timeline of stuff, because lots of times that happens. I can't think of a random kid who can, has a flaming monkey possessed in him. I don't know that I can think of right off the top of my head, but I maybe just be missing something. So, yeah.
So this 2 issue. All right.
But I think this is done, isn't it? This is the end of it, isn't it? It's just a single.
I thought when they go to England, I thought this was going to lead.
Well, but there's
it does say the end, yeah.
Yeah, and there's no numbering on it. It just says Hellboy, the BPRD 1954, the unreasoning beast. It doesn't give us a. Usually, if it's going to be more than one, it'll say number 1 on the front or whatever. But you're right, Mike. It is the kind of perfect. Here's Hellboy. This is kind of how he is. This is something that goes bump in the night. They deal with it in some sense, and life goes on for the BPRD crew.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I really liked it. I mean, we get to know a little bit about, we see Beast Boy grow a little bit. He's already getting smarter, and then we learn more about his psychic friend, Mark. Forgot her name.
Sue.
Sue. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, because at this point, he's technically only been part of the BPRD for 2 years. So, yeah. I enjoy it. It's where I'm going to get my BPRD at now, since they shut down the main book. So,
Yeah. I definitely would say in my meager pile that I had this week, it was the best book I read. So.
no, okay. John,
What's up?
you got any books you want to talk about?
I have no indie books this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I am going to talk Black Monday Murders very briefly, because it's a very thick book full of lots of information and inner workings of this, I don't know, cabal that's magically getting power from the money markets and their own relatives' blood and hell itself that they're tapping into and whatnot. Beautiful art in it. In this issue, we find out kind of the history of this woman who's taking back over her family's chair in this cabal. And by the end of it, she's pretty much told everybody else, today's the only day that you're getting a free pass, and after this, I'm coming after everybody. And her intention is just to wreck everybody. I do not know what this woman's play is in it. She literally has white skin, black eyes. She speaks in a magical tongue that there's no translation for whatsoever. So when she has conversations with her, you're only getting one side of the conversation, so you have to kind of guess as to what she's saying. These, I don't know, people or creatures or whatever they are, have been throughout time, because this book jumps around in time a little bit. It goes back into the 60s when this woman was born. It gets into like the 80s when she starts to gain her prominence in power. So I'm not sure exactly what's up, if they are actually just a magical creature or exactly what, but I'm really curious to find that part out of it. But less detective in this one and more kind of the history of her, so you know what her place is in this, as she's replacing her brother who was murdered in the first issue, which is why it's called the Black Monday Murders, because it happened on a Monday when the stock market crashed and everything. So yeah, good, great stuff, really interesting, really, I like the occult kind of things and the whole money market and all that kind of element seems kind of strangely foreign to me anyway. So giving this kind of overtones of it's all some sort of secret cabal where it really, the money itself isn't important. It's the power that they generate out of that. That's what's important. It has these families doing these stuff, but it looks like all out war. Just to get an idea of the kind of power these people have, they literally went out and bought the church to have a funeral in so they could burn it down. I mean, when they bury the person, they put the coffin in there, they do the whole funeral thing, and then they walk outside and they douse the whole thing in gasoline and they throw a torch on it and burn the entire church down. So that's their version of the Viking funeral or whatever. So it's pretty awesome. But I really like it. Like I said, it's a more expensive book. It's a $4.99 book, but it's, like I said, it is super dense. It's twice the size of the regular books and whatnot, and just cool art and really interesting story to see what happens with it. So yeah. Mike, you want to talk the other indie book you got?
Oh yeah.
Frostbite.
This one's really heating up.
Well, there is a boiled head in it.
Yeah. It was really crazy to see who the main antagonist is in this. Now we get to meet the boss, who is another frostbite victim, and as we see, he's in an intense heat room. We know that the heat rooms actually intensify the frostbite, that as soon as they get away from it, I mean, they're freezing from the inside out. So yeah, I liked it. With meeting the firemen and the
Snow Queens.
Ice Queens.
Ice Queens, yes. Yeah. That's who's on the cover there. Is one of the I don't know, is it Snow Queen or Ice Queen? I can't remember which it is. Diving off of her. Very Mad Max on snowmobiles and snowcats at one point. Our main characters are being chased across the snowy plains between LA and San Francisco, and they're chasing after them, and they're literally leaping off with these spears, just because they can't. There's a person on a doctor that they can't kill her. They need her. She's got the information to supposedly fix the whole snow, the frostbite thing. And of course they can't hurt, but everybody else is fair game. And of course it's been is it, I can't remember how many hundreds of years is. How many years is it? Is it 100? I can't remember.
57 years
57
into
years
the
into
new
the
ice.
new ice age. But
Yeah.
the groups are almost like cults that are out here on the ice, crumbing along. These women absolutely hate men. They butcher them first. They sacrifice people out on the ice to some ice goddess, you know, and they hope the winter stays forever. Most people are just thinking, oh my God, hopefully this, you know, we'll get some, you know, global warming going on and fix all this stuff. Seems how man screwed up the climate. Maybe man can fix it at some point. Most people are hoping for that. Not these ladies. They love that. And the firemen are just a bunch of crazy bastards that are dressed up in firemen's outfits. They fight fire with fire, literally.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff. But no, it
And
was
you were
fun.
correct. Snow Queens, yes.
Yeah, and it was fun. The art looks like this cover. It's brilliant. Just this kind of really gorgeous stuff and whatnot. But yeah, the whole fact is we got told in like either issue 1 or issue 2 that if you have this disease, this frostbite disease, that actually the heat kills you faster, and this ice age that's happened has actually saved the human race, because if the ice age wasn't here, this disease that they're calling, you know, frostbite for lack of any other terminology, would have killed off the entire race, you know, like 40 years ago. You know, it would have wiped us out. It's the newest plague, basically. And most people want to warm up. They think that's what's going to save them from freezing to death from the inside out. So yeah, the main boss is actually hastening his death, because he literally is in a room that's a sauna room with like 3 or 4 fireplaces. Everybody that goes in to talk to him strips down because you just can't take it because of how hot it is. The guys that go to talk to him slip up what they're saying because they're so hot they can't concentrate. And of course he's your typical kind of thug boss. You know, one of the guys says the wrong thing and he grabs him and shoves his head into the sauna water, and it literally boils his head. I mean, it takes the flesh right off of his head, so it's pretty hardcore. But you know, I love the art between Alexander and the colorist and NCT. It's really cool visually. So
Yeah. And now that we're down to just a couple people, when I saw the last page where they, spoilers for anybody that's reading it, just wanna, but John, does that remind you of your favorite Alpha Flight comic?
With the snowbird cover where it's all white.
yeah, where it's
Yeah, where
it's so when you got it, the weird bubble there, barely, you can just barely.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that because John does have this Alpha Flight that as you turn each page, it just has white pages with word bubbles in them.
Yeah.
Kind of like Sioux Falls, basically, in some ways.
Yeah.
But I mean, this issue was full of, you know, of action. Like I said, the equivalent Mad Max road chase where they're shooting people and all, you know, all kinds of craziness. And then you get the one nutter that's going to leap off of their vehicle onto the other vehicle with a big old spear to skewer them and stuff while she's, you know, goddess protect me as she's leaping off. Yeah.
That is the one thing I've noticed is, I think we even mentioned last time, there's always the page in the book. So, I mean, this is the rarity that you see the cover and it's in the book.
Oh, yeah, sure enough, because it's basically just recoloring, reshaping, and adding some other stuff to it. But yeah, you're right. It is. It's actually, and the last one was that way too, wasn't it? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 guys standing there with the guns cocked sideways, yeah.
So in one sense, that's cool. In another sense, it's like, oh, they got lazy and just pulled some art from the middle of the book and stuck it on the front of the book. But, you know, you're getting what you pay for. I mean, you know, it's not no surprises where you get some, you know, one artist on the cover, you don't look at the inside of it and suddenly you open it up and the interior is completely, you know, different from that. But But yeah, I really like the book. Like I said, the art is a sell for me right there. Interesting story too. Like I said, you know, I mean, it's relatively simple in a sense that it's a chase across the country. You know, the person that's got the way to save everybody else, you know, will she get there and whatnot? And there's a few dirty secrets that are still being hidden, you know, in this, you know, as far as our supposed hero I don't know what you call her, our Mad Max or our Han Solo character, has pulled the trigger on some people that, if the other characters knew that she did that, it would be bad news, probably. So, but cool, good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other indie book that I've read, and I've only actually read, because I got it marked here, I've only actually read half of it, is of course, Scott Snyder, Jeff Lemire's AD, After Death, book one that, of course, they talked about. I want to say it's been over a year now before the book got released, when they did one of their Marvel Expo things and said, "Hey, we're doing this book." But both these characters are both these creators are super busy, so when they fit it in, I don't know. But anyway, they did. So the book is oversized. I had no idea what I was getting to. It's square bound. That's cool. The cover is made out of this. It almost feels like it's kind of a textured kind of a paper, like a high end kind of like art paper. So it's interesting to the feel as far as that goes. It is a $6 book, but it's partially, it's all Lemire art. So if you hate Jeff Lemire art, clearly not for you. But it's got sequential art in it, but it's also got a lot of prose. So it's like part of it picture book and part of it sequential art. Which is fine with me. I just can't. I can't read it in 10 minutes and go, "Oh, this is what I actually have to take some time to reread it." So, so halfway through, I'm enjoying it. It's interesting, but it reminds me, and partially it's because of Jeff Lemire art, but I know he's helping tell the story. It reminds me of Trillium, which came out a year or two ago from Vertigo,
yes.
Where it started out, everybody's like, "Oh, this is really cool. It's really interesting." And then it just got so kind of weird and off the rails, and it never felt like it got back on the rails. There are elements in this book that feel that way because it bounces around in time. And of course, like I said, I'm only halfway in, so it's I'm making a judgment based on only reading half of this first of 3 issues. But I'm enjoying it. But there is an element of concern of, are all these elements going to come together at the end of it and make some sort of sense? Because there's moments where he's of him as a 6-year-old, the main character as a 6-year-old child, talking about like his first memories at 6. They've experienced finding this weather balloon and all this stuff that happened with him and his family. And then it kind of hops to like some, I'm assuming it's the same character as an adult. And he's thrashing through like the jungle and some alien things come down to get him. And he's like, "No, this isn't the truth. It's all a lie." And they're talking in some sort of robot voice. "You must come back or everybody's going to die." And he's like, "No, no." And the tentacles wrap him up and, I don't know, drag him away or whatever. We don't know. And then suddenly it's like, it is, this is, it's 800, it's 825 AD or After Death. That's a floating tractor there. These cows are walking around. That fence doesn't have barbed wire. It's got some sort of biological thing in it that it's programmed for the cows. If the cows try to walk through it zaps them and burns them to make them go away. And one stupid cow keeps walking into it. The guy's named the cow Darwin, which is kind of funny because the cow clearly has a death wish. And it's him talking to the cow and stuff like that. And then it goes back to this journal, kind of a journaling notebook kind of a thing of him being 6 years old and stuff they did with his mom and dad. So it's interesting. And I'm enjoying it, but I don't know. It's like, oh my God, you got to go out and get it yet. Cause like I said, I'm not done with the issue and I'm not sure how much is going to get answered in this first one. I think it's going to set up a lot of elements that I'm hoping that in the next 2 kind of, how does it weld together or whatnot. But, I like the format though. I mean, I'm happy with a book that's parts sequential art and parts storybook. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I know how to read an actual book with real words, not just pictures. So I'm okay as far as it goes. But it was a surprise because I didn't expect that, and I suddenly open it up and it's like, wow, there's a lot of just prose here. But it's interesting. I'm enjoying it, but it's different. So, which is okay. It's okay to have some different stuff. So, yeah. And that is it for my indie books.
Short night for us then.
I guess. And I can't think of any indie news. There's nothing independent wise that that's on the cusp or that sort of thing. Anything else we want to talk about? So I'm just curious, John, you said that you follow characters. Does that mean you don't read as many independent books because, of course, there's not a lot of them that have ongoing?
Ooh, so you're going to incriminate me.
No, I'm not.
I have tried my fair share of Image books and actually enjoyed them. But that's exactly what it is. We were talking about the long box conundrum, and when you're at capacity, you're at capacity. So what do you want to have in your collection? And for me, it is about the characters for me as a reader. So that's why I definitely recognize the quality of literature out there. I love that from front to back, Image is Image. Like you get just a lot of cool extras in there that the main publishers don't give us as readers. But at the same time, I got to be true to what I do as a collector, and that is collect and follow my DC and my Marvel. Primarily Marvel, but definitely starting to love some Batman in my world. So
cool. No, I just curious. I mean, there's books that I mean, I'm that way. You know, there's characters that I will come on here every 2 weeks and bitch about them because I'm not enjoying the main Batman title. I'm kind of raging about it right now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep getting it.
Yeah,
because it's the Batman book, you know. In Detective, anytime I've ever collected comics, they're always books I always get, and so if it's a time I'm not enjoying it, I just complain about it or whatever. But part of me likes it because it is the character, you know, kind of a thing and whatnot. So no, I'm not. I wasn't calling you out or making a judgment based on that. I'm just curious because I
call myself out on it.
Yeah.
So don't worry.
Well, you know, because we all collect for our own whatever our own thing is, and it's awesome. You know what your thing is, and do that. No, so I was just curious if that's why you didn't dip into as much other stuff was based on.
I would otherwise if I had the space, but gentlemen, I got 10 long boxes right now that just are angry at me, and that's not including the break I brought today for Black Friday. So.
Sure.
But John, you read like Happy, didn't you?
Yeah.
With the assassin and the floating.
Yes. Blue.
And then what is?
There was a blue cow or something like that. It was a blue hippo or something.
The blue pony with wings. Yeah.
And it was so cynical and fun, and I love that kind of stuff, you know, because it's just off the beaten path and it's something different. So I definitely I appreciate it. One series that I liked was Transfusion, which was vampires and robots. That was fun. So just I get random stuff sometimes, but lately I've really just kind of cut back and focused on what I excel at. So
sure, cool,
definitely.
Cool.
On the Batman piece, I will say I am actually with you in that this main Batman line isn't living up. For me, I'm spoiled because, I hopped on formerly with Batman Court of Owls, New 52. Mm-hmm. Fantastic. I loved it. Great concept. It was a ton of fun. This one has been cool for the Rebirth Batman, but All-Star Batman has been more cool for me. So I like All-Star Batman better than regular Batman. And then, of course, Detective in a strong third place. So.
Yeah. The Batman title. I just don't understand the voice that's there, and I don't need to rant about it this week because I ranted about it last week. But it's just kind of a strange book. And I guess for me, also based on the writer and the other stuff he's written and whatnot, so it kind of throws me off. So, but yeah, I feel like we shouldn't be. I feel like we have John on. We should be talking about something else. I just don't know what it would be. I didn't come prepared for extended. What do we want to talk about? You watch the TV shows, right, John?
Yes.
All the stuff that's out there. What this next week, right? This next week is the giant for the CW, the giant crossover, right?
Yes.
Starting with Supergirl on Monday. I'm not caught up. I'm caught up on Arrow, but I'm not caught up on the other shows. I kind of watched them and binge watched them in books and whatnot. I'm racing through the Legends right now is what I'm trying to get through and stuff. But
nice.
So
yeah, I'm a huge fan actually of that. The idea of the event is cool, but you know what I'm a huge fan more of is just the quality of the shows this time around. It really Legends of Tomorrow has, I feel, picked up quite a bit, and they made some right choices with nixing some of the characters because it makes the show more fun, and it's not as much of a Avengers fight scene every time people with wings fly out and all this other stuff. Now it's more concise in a way, and I kind of like that. I like they're really humanizing some of the characters, which is nice. So that's cool to be able to identify with characters a little bit more. And I love having the speedster villain in the Reverse Flash, I guess.
Right. Right.
Having him in Legends of Tomorrow is cool. I love seeing that crossover. So making it relevant. Why do these shows matter to each other? I love that. I'm a continuity junkie, so they've got my formula for that, definitely. Arrow, fun. You already know how I feel about Ragman. So
Sure.
that's been really cool. Flash has been really cool. I love Killer Frost. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Man, always rooting for the bad guys. But no, she's just a cool character. So love seeing that in some of the recent stuff. And then Supergirl has actually picked up for me a lot too. I struggled with season 1. I watched the whole thing because I love being informed. When I have an opinion, I want to know why. And so I checked it out. Season 2 has been better. And I like having a Martian Manhunter in there as a primary role. Just seeing him more and more is exciting. So I like that as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes though. I'm with you.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
I think, I mean, I probably like Arrow best just because I'm a Green Arrow fan anyway, but I think probably Legends models a comic book the best as far as hitting the comic book notes. At least for me, if I'm going to pick up a superhero book and the stuff I enjoy about superhero books, it seems to hit most of the notes the best out of all the books as far as those kind of, the superhero aspect of it and whatnot. So
Absolutely.
I've had a lot of fun with it. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm excited to see where it goes though, and we'll see how this event treats us. Heroes versus aliens. So,
right.
Could be.
Against the Dominators. We'll see what that's like. So I did appreciate the one commercial I saw where basically where Ollie is bitching at Barry about the fact that every time I get together with you, we're always in way over our heads. What the hell is that about? So I do find that funny. So
Yep.
And Mike, Shield, is it still around?
It is. It's on hiatus again. But next week I think we get a new episode. So
yeah,
they take way too many breaks. So
so the last I had heard, the Inhumans show, when it comes out, it's not going to be at all, and they're not mixing over, or are they mixing over? Did we hear when we were there?
I haven't heard either way. I'm guessing they probably won't. There is actually going to be another Secret Warriors comic book series coming out, which is going to focus on the Inhumans. And I mean, that was a series I loved.
Yeah.
I picked it up. It's the Hickman run, the 1,000 volumes of whatever of it. And I loved it, but I don't know that I can pick up this new run of it. So
yeah, that's right. That's something that had just been news. They announced more of the Inhuman books that were coming out, right? Just this last week. I know there's a Black Bolt book. I always kind of like that character. I'm curious about a solo book for Black Bolt. He doesn't talk. What is that going to be like? And they're kind of, I guess they're like out in space. And it's kind of a prison break, something is how I'm hearing it being told. Christian Ward, who was doing like let's see, what did he do? He did a couple issues of Ultimate lately. He's been doing the Odyssey for Image. He's going to be doing the artwork on it, so it should be fantastic as far as that kind of really bold watercolory, craziness that he does. So I'm going to pick that up just because I like the Inhumans. I don't know that I've been really excited about a lot of the stuff that's been being told lately. But I'm curious, like I said, about a solo book by him, so I'll be picking that up to see what that Black Bolt solo book is like. So.
And I think Marvel does it a lot where they bank the first 5 issues on the artist, and then they'll switch out and hope that people stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I see that with a lot of Del Otto and then Del Mundo's art also.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that was a new thing to talk about.
Yeah.
The FX show, which I blind a blank on the title of
Legion?
it now. Legion.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be coming out right in January, right? Right after the new year.
I believe so, yeah. And that one is going to be interesting in itself. That takes me back to that X-Men Legacy run with the crazy covers.
Right.
Yeah, fascinating character. You could really do anything with him, literally. So I'll just be curious to see how they handle it. Again, I'm pushing for that, tie it all together, make it matter to the Marvel Cinematic U. But
Yeah.
I wish for the stars. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll be really, really curious, like you, what they're going to do with that character. What will they really make? Because the show could go a lot of ways. What are they really really going to do with that. And I've only seen one ad of him, basically sitting in a chair and people standing around him talking, and that's it. So that doesn't give you enough of a sense as to what that's really going to be. So I am very curious about that. And it being kind of on FX, it kind of puts it in on an offbeat station enough that they're not, that their hands aren't tied by Disney, so they can kind of go some interesting places with that. Yeah. So it'll definitely be interesting. So yeah. Righty. I guess we'll call it a night. We've talked some books, we talked some shows, we talked a little bit of everything. Unless somebody's got anybody parting wisdom, I'll once again say, for sure, check out the Comic Book Look. I do have the link down below in the description. Go check them out. Go subscribe to them. Like I said, if you're subscribed, you're watching me, and you have even a remote interest in this show, they actually probably do a better version than this is. Because this is kind of a live by the seat of our pants. They seem to be a little more organized at times. So
smoke and mirrors. Yeah.
Is that what it is? Well, you guys do a good job of it. So you definitely
don't let your mother see the show, though. Don't let your mother see it.
That may be true, but
yeah.
But anyway, so make sure, like I said, of course, make sure you check out the channel that John's on there. It's lots of fun. So any parting words?
I actually had a parting question, and I wanted to ask this earlier. So just to talk really quick, you had mentioned that issue 5 was the end of a story arc for Batwoman, Batgirl.
Mm-hmm.
Batgirl, and to me, 5 issues seems pretty interesting for using the term arc. So what are your thoughts on that? What constitutes a story arc? And given that these are coming out twice a month, what are your thoughts on that? Because that's like opening the door and closing the door in your face in the same week.
Right. Yeah. In the case of Batgirl, it's monthly. It's not one of the twice a month. So so there's at least that.
Okay.
Right. And cool. What qualifies as an arc? That's a I guess I have fallen into lock and step with the publishers in their definition of what is an arc. We've told this little piece of story. For me, an arc is much closer to a run of, if the same people are on the book, as long as they're on the book. To me, that's because most of the time they're telling a longer, a longer version of the story. I mean, so. In the case of the Batgirl, those 5 issues, she's kind of hopping around Japan, Korea, China. Now she's going back home. So that was the end of that. Now she's going to go back home and deal with some stuff in the Burnside, Gotham stuff. So that's the end of that story. So arc. I don't know if that I'm using the terminology that they've given me as far as that goes. I mean, if I was really looking at a run of comics, an arc's going to be much bigger than that, I think, because to me it's based on the story that's there. I think that I don't know. Let's look at like the New 52 Batman, for instance. You're familiar with that. So is the Court of Owls, is that its own arc, or is the 50 issues that Snyder and Capullo did together, is that their Batman story?
Yeah.
And then do you describe it in acts? This is the first act. This is the second act. So I don't know. Like I said, for me, I'm using arc because I'm using the terminology that the publisher has put forward to me. For me, as looking at it in a literary sense, I don't know that I would, those 5 issues, that I would call that an arc. It's the opening of.
Yeah. It just caught me off guard. I was like,
oh, sure.
Yeah.
But you are right. It is kind of weird. It'll be curious to see how with the DC stuff with this twice, like the Detective Comics, for instance, at what point, where's the trade start? Mm-hmm. Right? Because we always talk, I mean, a lot of us anyway talk about the writing for the trade. The story is going to be X number of issues, and that's the trade. Are these going to be big trades that are, 8, 9, 10 issues, or are they still going to make the trade 5 or 6? So does that detective, that first arc or whatever you want to call it, when Tim dies, is that the end? And now we've got to start at something new? And some of these weekly books, of course, have the kind of, I don't know, filler issue or whatever, where like the Green Arrow, we had the first little bit of kind of establishing, here's Ollie, he loses his money, he's got a relationship with Black Canary. it's done. Then we get a couple issues of his sister fighting against some Yakuza. Then we go back to Ollie on an island for a few issues. How they, it's curious to see how they put that all together for trade purposes. It'll be interesting with those twice a month.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it's Sleepy Reader or if it was J-Rocks, but somebody was looking into the trades, and they're basically keeping it along that kind of same 6 or 5 run, and then maybe a little filler, but then it really bounces in its pricing on what they're doing, because some of them are still, 6 for $18 or 6 for $20. So some of them are ripoffs in a way, or some of them are good deals, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah. Or if you don't mind picking up in singles, right? You just wait 6 months to a year and pick them up the dollar wall you guys have, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. And when we look at their shelves, I mean, they're just jam-packed full of Rebirth stuff right now.
Yeah.
Well, there's no way they can't be, because they're positive or negatively, take it out however you want to. They're kind of flooding the market. I mean, when half of the books they put out come out twice a week. It's there's gonna be a lot of books. I just can't see how there's not gonna be a lot of books, and that's, I guess, a marketing strategy. If you look at it from a pure marketing standpoint, if your books, when you walk into a shop and the shelves are just loaded with DC, clearly that's all there is to buy. So that's what you buy, right? As the other stuff gets pushed down, down the edge or whatnot, which of course, you get into the whole marketing end of it, the variant covers and all of that stuff, scares the little independent guy, because, your comic book shop has only got X amount of shelving space. And, it's all cost him money for what he puts on that shelf. So what do you put on the shelf? And to some degree you go where your customers are at, but you also are going where the money's going to be at. So it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough from a selling standpoint on all that kind of stuff, for sure. Yeah.
I would say the other most important question for you, not to put you on the spot, but when are you going to come hang out with us on our channel?
Oh, well, I could. Well, that's a long drive. I'm just saying, that's a long drive, because you guys get it cool. You guys get all set together, and
we could do a Google hangout. That's easy.
And
I thought you were going to say road trip, John.
We could do that too. Whatever.
I haven't. That's a couple days drive. So I'm thinking usually if I stop and see a few sites along the way, it's about 2.5 days to make it to the Dakotas.
Okay.
So guaranteed the next time I am driving through, I'll be hitting you guys up to find out where the shops are and bug you in person. As far as if you want to do a Google hangout, you just let me know. I'll come on and you guys can pick on me, and
that'd be awesome. You'll probably take us to school, take us to church on some stuff.
I'll get myself an awesome name badge so I can kind of almost hang with you guys. You guys in your cool shirts, but
oh yeah. No, thank you for having me though. It's awesome.
Anytime, John. Come on, anytime and talk with us. So, I guess with that, we'll call it a night. Thank you guys for coming on and talking books with me. Always appreciated. Thank you everybody who came on live and commented. I did a horrible job of looking at the comments again this week. It'll be my New Year's resolution yet again to pay more attention to what the comments say, to respond to that and whatnot. Thank you for everybody who watches this after the fact. As always, shout out to Mercy, because I know she watches it clear to the end, and she's the one person I know that comments clear to the end of the show, to know that somebody sat through the hour or 2 hours that we sit here and talk books. Always appreciated. And until next time, which I'm not sure exactly when that next time is going to be. I'll put out a video later on about what that next time is going to be, because December is going to be a busy month. So we'll see what kind of wintry magic we have happen in December. We'll figure something out. So with that, good night, everybody, and read some good comics.